Hey guys, it's Kendra. I'm back for another voiceover because apparently my last one was not annoying. So thank you to everyone who took the time to watch and listen to my last video, let me know what you think, and encourage me. It means a lot to me and I really appreciate you. You guys know who you are and I love you. Same thing as last time, or if this is your first voiceover video of mine that you've watched, I ramble quite a bit and there's nothing I can do about it. So if you are not here for 50% Sims content and 50% random stories no one cares about, you probably don't want to listen to me, go ahead and mute me. I won't be offended. And there's also timestamps down in the description, so if you're bored of whatever I'm doing in the video, just go ahead and skip forward to whatever it is that you care about. With that, let's get started on this build. I called this build Peyton, and there's honestly no reason that I called it Peyton. I usually name my builds after like the color, so I pick something that's the same color as the house, or maybe I pick a sim or a name of someone I can see living in the house. But in this case, after I finished building it, I just sort of stared at it for a couple minutes and was drawn a total and complete blank. So I've been watching some One Tree Hill, don't judge me. Sometimes I reach the end of the internet, okay? But I was watching One Tree Hill and so we got Peyton. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was kind of driving the struggle bus for this build. It was like everything that I thought was gonna turn out just didn't quite look how I wanted, and I had to drive that struggle bus all the way to the last stop. I was stuck and I'm stubborn, so I finished it. I think in the end it actually turned out pretty cute, but it was a journey. It was a journey to get there, and you guys are on this journey with me now, so thank you. Because of that though, the video jumps around a little bit more. It's just because when I'm trying to decide what I want to do, I usually look at it from more angles. Unfortunately, that means the video is a little bit more confusing. So let me know if that's super bothersome, and maybe I'll just skip the next time I do this, posting a video. Anyway, so one of the things I knew I wanted to do with this build was use this kind of purple brown brick. I'm obsessed with this brick. It is my favorite like outdoor option in the base game. It's really close to my favorite color in a lot of lights. So my favorite color is kind of like a purple red sort of color. I call it Kinder purple. I don't know what it's really called, but it's the same color I dyed my hair. It's the same color as my favorite pants, which, funny story, I'm actually literally wearing my favorite pants in my Instagram story avatar thing. They're like purple pants with a button fly. I literally own those pants in real life. I mean, I wear them all the time. I love those pants. Anyway, this brick is pretty close to my favorite color, and so I really wanted to use it, and yep, that's all that is. I think it turned out pretty good. It's just such a pretty color, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine, because I like it. Anyway, I think maybe one of the reasons that I was not quite sure about this build sometimes was because the fireplace ended up really prominent. Maybe it needed to be a little bit of a different shape or something. I think in the end it kind of blended in, but for a while it was looking a little questionable. I also had to cut out some parts of this video, like putting the trim on and stuff, because I was trying to make this video without Tool. I realized watching the last one that I was using Tool for everything. I've just gotten so used to having it that I don't do things the way that I, used to using just the tools in the game anymore. So I was going to try to make this build without Tool, and putting that trim stuff on is a lot easier if you use a foundation. But I had already made this house with platforms and not a foundation, and I'm stubborn AF. And so I had to struggle with the trim a lot to make it look normal when I was putting it on a platform. So I cut it out so you guys didn't have to watch the struggle. If you're curious how I do it, if you just check out some of my old videos, it's all in there. But I didn't want to make you watch it in this video because it was a rough time. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was not great. So anyway, I am trying to do these little debug decorations on the outside of the house at this point in my builds more often, because I realized looking at some of the older videos that a lot of times I'd mostly finish the house, then do the landscaping, then maybe pop inside, and then at the very end of the build, I would do these little details. And I just feel like it's kind of unsatisfying. So I'm trying to put it at this point in the builds a little bit more so that you can kind of see the house finished and then move on to the next thing instead of jumping around so much, even though that's totally how my brain works. But I'm trying for you guys. This little deck on the front ended up being my favorite thing about this build. I'm going to try to tell you guys what my favorite part of each build is. Hopefully I remember, but this little front deck is my favorite. I just think it's so cute. And I love front decks, especially when they're on like the second floor of the house. One of my best friends has one at her house, and it's like above her garage, and they have like this super cozy like outdoor furniture, the nice stuff where it's like got a cushion still, but it's meant to go outside. I love it. I just love being out there. When it's nice out, we'll grab some drinks and go sit out on it and just kind of people watch. And her neighborhood is really fun. There's like lots of fun people who live there, and so they like, they'll randomly walk down the street and say hi to each other or whatever. They're all just super nice. So on days like the 4th of July, I just love sitting out there, and it's just a great time. So the moral of the story is I love front porches on second floors. So the way that this landscaping is going is pretty much a good example of how I felt this whole build. Like, why did I struggle so much with the terrain paint? I do it all the time, but for whatever reason, it was just a struggle city. So it turned out just fine. And this landscaping, kind of like the last build, ended up being a little bit simpler. So I don't know if this is going to be a new theme for me, but let me know what you guys think about it being just like a little bit less extra. I'm curious what you guys think. I also really love these low-lying flowers. I love them because you don't even have to, rotate them a bunch to make them look variable. They just look good even if there's a ton of them. And also because they have such a small footprint, you can put them any which way all up against your house, and they don't try to pop up and like float in the air next to your foundation, which is awesome. It just makes my life so much easier because most of the debug plants don't do that. They'll pop up on the foundation and make your life difficult. So I love these little flowers. They're my favorite for landscaping. Like, I don't even know what I'd do with landscaping without them. It would be a sad day. Watching this video back, do you ever guys, like those of you, if you make videos or anything like that, do you ever have stuff where you're looking and you're like, oh my gosh, if I was watching this video, it would drive me totally crazy? And I won't tell you what it is if you haven't seen it by now, but I'm totally having one of those moments. It's kind of like, I don't know if you're like this, but in my house, like I'll think it's nice and people will come over, it's nice and clean, and then people will come over and it's like I see my house for the first time through someone else's eyes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks so messy. Like the other day, my dad had come and helped us fix our electrical, which is this whole other story. But as part of that, he ended up taking out some of the shelving in the pantry. And so we had to take all of the stuff out of the pantry, and it was like all over the counter and like the bar stools and the dining room table, just like everywhere. And my old roommate came over to meet the puppy, and like he walked in, I met him at the door, and then I like looked back behind me into the kitchen and everything, and I realized like, oh my gosh, it looks ridiculous in here, just like preposterous. It looked silly. So yeah, it's just kind of like you don't realize how things look until someone else is there, I guess. Anyway, back to the build. This floor plan came together pretty easily, actually. A lot of times, 2-story homes are a little bit harder, or they end up with kind of weird floor plans because the stairs make things difficult. But in this build, it turned out pretty good. I also kind of did basic furnishings, hadn't even done the bedrooms yet, and I checked the price of the house, and it was already $21,000, and or I guess simoleons, 21,000 simoleons. And I was like, there is no frickin' way I'm gonna be able to make this thing a starter. So I still wanted it to be affordable, but I decided I didn't have to be stuck with the super basic stuff. So I use these counters and kind of all the stuff that comes with it, which I think they're my favorite counters. I like how they're butcher block. I like the look of them. I can't really see them in most people's houses, but in The Sims, I think they look nice. I don't understand, kind of a side note, but why the more expensive counters that come with the game are all kind of stuffy looking. I don't know how to explain it. Like the vintage counters that come with base game, they're really expensive. They have a tile countertop, and I personally don't like tile countertops. I lived in an apartment that had them once, and we were constantly cleaning the grout. You know, you have spaghetti for dinner and then all of a sudden your grout is red and you're like, oh, I'm going to lose my deposit. I hate everything about this. So I don't like them. I mean, if you have them in your house and you like them, that's awesome. I'm not trying to throw shade. I didn't like them at all. So yeah. I actually really like this whole set of furniture with all the rivets and stuff and the wood. Probably the Sims team was like inspired by the steampunky sort of stuff that was popular a couple years ago. But it's not really in style anymore, but I still like it. Maybe that just means I'm getting old. I don't know, whatever, but I still like it. I've realized actually I'm totally going to be one of those old people that like get stuck in their era, you know? I always thought I'm never going to let myself be one of those like people that's outdated. You know, I'm going to keep my house relatively in style as much as I can afford anyway. And, you know, I'm not going to have a super outdated hairstyle or anything like that. But here I am still listening to the same music that I've always loved. And guys, I look bad with a center part. It's not good. Also, you could not pay me to go back to low-rise jeans. Like, there is no way. No way. That was a bad time. I don't want it. I don't want my flare jeans to be all wet and falling down anymore. You can't make me go back. If that means I'm not hip anymore, I don't care. Yeah, I just used the word hip. You're welcome. Also, why are all of the couches that come with the game so uncomfortable looking? Does anyone know? Like, all of them look horribly uncomfortable. I can't imagine trying to take a nap or like curling up with a book or a blanket and watching TV. They all look like they have wooden arms. Who wants wooden arms on their couch? I guess I can see them in like a house that has a formal living room, you know, where you have a separate TV hangout room and then you also have a place where you entertain guests. But I don't have one of those. You know, they're like the kind of couches that maybe older people would have covered in plastic wrap, you know, like, oh, this is my fancy couch. But in The Sims, especially in base game, we don't have anything that looks just comfy and cozy. It's really odd to me. Like the majority of them look actively uncomfortable. Or they're like super modern, which is a really specific style, but in base game, did we really need 2 or 3 styles of modern? And then one couch looks okay. I don't know. I don't know if that was necessary, Sims team. I like furnishing my homes a little bit more basic, I guess, because that's how I like to play personally. If, you know, I feel like if you like more decorations or more clutter or something like that, you can totally go do that. But this is just how I play. Like I play with walls up. And I don't know if that's my serial killer trait or whatever, but I do. And so I just don't like stuff in my way when I'm playing. And I also used to have a ton of CC, like, I mean, a lot of CC. But I don't anymore, obviously. It's kind of funny that I went from being a CC addict to playing just base game, like building just base game. But I was so tired of keeping up with it and figuring out what was broken, and I have no organizational skills whatsoever, so it was just this giant mess and it was horrible. But once I deleted it all, it was like a whole new world. I realized that even though it was probably technically less cute, because, you know, there's some really cute CC out there, I just felt more satisfied after I did a build with noCC. You know, if I figured out how to make EA's questionable taste in furnishings look cute, I just felt really proud of myself, if that makes any sense. So now I'm a noCC player, and it's so wild because honestly, guys, it was like 3 years of so much CC. It was insane. Anyway, I'm putting lights in the rooms, which is something that I honestly forget about really frequently. I think it's because I do a lot of starters and lights are expensive, but also because when I do starters, I use those kind of debug lights that don't even show in live mode, so I just kind of pay no attention to where I'm putting them. And when I, you know, don't use those lights, a lot of times I forget that I need to make the lights not look dumb. So I'm glad I remembered in this build. But anyway, I think this build came together pretty well. And I'm also curious what you guys think of these little walkthroughs. Do you like them? Are they kind of glitchy and annoying? My husband says that he likes them, but let me know what you think. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy simming.